Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think, what seems to be lost on me is, what we're talking about right now are revenues. You know, the ups and downs of revenue, so it may increase here, maybe a decrease somewhere else, and then we're gonna have a bigger discussion based on whatever the outcome, the net change is when we conduct our budget. At the time we conduct that discussion on the budget, we're going to be listing our priorities, the revenue stabilization, and then additionally, some items, whether or not to be surplus or whatever that we'll attribute those funds to. So it may be reserve, it may be whatever, but I think I think the way that it's worded, I think it's the goal that there's going to be a net tax decrease, correct? And so it's pretty safe wording the way that it's worded right now, despite whatever your position may be, to leave that wording in the case and really not get hung up in the weeds, because what we're trying to do is have a discussion about the budget. Should we have more money in reserve? Should we place a higher priority for highways? Should we whatever? Well, that's a secondary conversation once we determine what our revenues are, in my opinion. So if you read the way this is written, understanding, and I think everyone in this room understands that it's going to be a net or wash change in revenue, a net loss or a loss in revenue. I think we're just kind of beating this up for the sake of beating up the issue.
Okay, now to be clear, when you say read the way it's written, you're talking about the original motion. Okay, so we're
the original motion.
That's right. So right now, again, folks need to understand the first vote we're going to have is on the substitute motion, which does not dedicate it. Correct, Cinderella?
That is correct.
So again, we can speak a little bit about both. Just make sure how we're going to go through this so there's no confusion. Do you have anything else on this?
So we don't need
Yeah.
confusion.
A second. Let's Reverend Cindy Dodson, you have a comment on this?
Yes, I would like to speak against the substitute motion. As the proposal, the original proposal, the original motion, talked about reducing taxes as the overall goal of our entire task force here. I think this falls in line with that, and obviously I would like to vote on that. So I ask the members of the task force to vote down the substitute motion and make sure that this proposal goes as part of our overall recommendations to reducing taxes for the entire task force, which I think a motion was made earlier and adopted, if I recall, that any proposals that come out or our final recommendations would be at least a net reduction of overall taxes. I don't know where that, I don't have that one in front of me, but I think that's part of a motion that we adopted earlier as far as the task force.
Okay, Cinderella, you recognize?
I think the last two comments make it very clear why this motion is really needed. Because on the one hand, I think my motion is consistent with what Senator Disman said, in that we don't want to get in the weeds, and that's the exact purpose of my motion. And what Representative Dodson just said is absolutely in the weeds. And I think even if we some of us think we should not make this decision now about what the designation is going to be, and some think we do. So I think this motion is right down the middle of our deciding, because even when you look at the wording for today, it seems harmless, but if we go back to the original motion, I guess, now we're into a position of some of us think one thing and some of us think the other. I'd just like to clear it up that we are going to vote on this motion. I hope to say we all want to collect the taxes and wait and have the discussion after we have the bills. That's what this motion would do. And we'd all be on the same page.
Okay, Representative Johnson, you recognize?
Thank you. I want to speak